Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct today from Black Facts Headquarters Central here in lovely Kent, Ohio. Bringing you none less than the best, because you know we're not like the rest. Don't even bother to put us to the test. All right, and today we are continuing on with our story from the book. Oops. Looks like I forgot something. Okay. Tell you what. Here's what we'll do right here, right quick. We will go right over to here. And I'm just going to transition where we should be at. Okay. Now, reading from the book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X. Whew, boy, that was a bit of a rush. I'd taken the book upstairs last night so that I could work on some new images for the parts that are coming up, and forgot to return the book with me. So let's go ahead and move on. Get a few things out the way, a few housekeeping chores. Number one, if you have not already, please make sure to give us a like. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're looking on YouTube, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Spread the word to your family and your friends, your enemies alike. Maybe you can even turn them into some frenemies. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and read our proverb of the day. Let's see. Okay, I like this one here. Matter of fact, I've had to do this myself. Try this bracelet. If it fits you, wear it. But if it hurts you, throw it away, no matter how shiny it is. Try this bracelet. If it fits you, wear it. But if it hurts you, throw it away, no matter how shiny. And I've had to do that with some bracelets. I used to wear a lot of bracelets. I used to be real jingly jangly because I wore bracelets and rings on my fingers. Sometimes I wore necklaces around my neck and everything. But after a while, they felt very confining. And I just didn't want to wear them anymore, so I stopped. But the bracelets I used to wear were the copper bracelets. And those were really good for keeping me healthy. So, I don't know. I might have to start wearing those again. But that particular proverb, try this bracelet. If it fits you, wear it. But if it hurts you, throw it away, no matter how shiny. That proverb is from the country of Kenya. Okay, Kenyan proverb. Now, we get to the main course. Reading more about Malcolm X, or as he's known in this part of our story, Malcolm Little. I didn't mention it yesterday. I forgot to mention it. But you may have found out during the day that yesterday was Malcolm's 96th birthday day. That's right. It's 96th birthday. And that's May 19, 2016 every year. Somebody mentioned to me about a African Liberation Day on May 25th. Typically, we recognize African Liberation Day as being May 19th. But when it's celebrated is another case in point, because that if it's not the weekend, then we may move the celebration on to another day. But typically, we try to celebrate it on May 19th if we can. So let's see. Now, where did we leave off at in the book? Okay, let's see. I think I left off. Yeah, a little bit back here. Yeah. Okay. Right. We left off where Shorty was laughing at Malcolm because he said Malcolm smelled so country. So he said later on, Shorty would enjoy teasing me about how with that first glance he knew my whole story. Man, that cat still smelled country. Right? He still smelled country. And Shorty would know. Okay? He said that he said laughing that cat's legs were so long and his pants so short, his knees showed and his head looked like a briar patch. That's the part where I left off yesterday, because that part floored me. But that afternoon, Shorty didn't let it show in his face how, quote unquote, country I appeared. When I told him I'd appreciate it if he'd tell me how could somebody go by getting a job like his. If you mean racking up balls, said Shorty, I don't know no pool joints around here needing anybody. You mean you just want any slave you can find? A slave meant work, a job, in other words. He asked what kind of work I had done. I told him I had washed restaurant dishes in Mason, Michigan. He nearly dropped his powder can. My homeboy, man, give me some skin. I'm from Lansing. I never told Shorty, and he never suspected that he was about 10 years older than I. He took us to be about the same age. At first, I would have been embarrassed to tell him. Later, I just never bothered. Shorty had dropped out of first year high school in Lansing, lived a while with an uncle and aunt in Detroit, and had spent the last 6 years living with his cousin up in Roxbury. But when I mentioned the names of Lansing people and places, he remembered many. And pretty soon, we sounded as if we'd been raised in the same block. I could sense Shorty's genuine gladness, and I don't have to say how lucky I felt to find a friend as hip as he obviously was. Man, this is a swinging town if you dig it, Shorty said. You're my homeboy. I'm gonna school you to the happenings. I stood there and grinned like a fool. You got to go anywhere now? Well, stick around until I get off. One thing I liked immediately about Shorty was his frankness. When I told him where I lived, he said what I already knew, that nobody in town could stand the Hill Negroes. But he thought a sister who gave me a pad, not charging me rent, not even running me out to find some slave, couldn't be all bad. Shorty's slave in the pool room, he said, was just to keep ends together while he learned his horn. A couple of years before, he'd hit the numbers and bought a saxophone. Got it right there in the closet now. For my lesson tonight, Shorty was taking lessons with some other studs, and he intended one day to organize his own small band. There's a lot of bread to be made gigging right around here in Roxbury, Shorty explained to me. I don't dig joining some big band one night and all over just to say I played with Count or Duke or somebody. I thought that was smart. I wished I had studied a horn, but I never had been exposed to one. All afternoon, between trips up front to rack balls, Shorty talked to me out of the corner of his mouth. Which hustlers standing around or playing at this or that table sold reefers, or had just come out of prison, or were second story men. Shorty told me that he played at least $1 a day on the numbers. He said as soon as he hit a number, he would use the winnings to organize his band. I was ashamed to have to admit that I had never played the numbers. Well, you ain't never had nothing to play with, he said, excusing me. But you start when you get a slave. And if you hit, you got a stake for something. He pointed out some gamblers and some pimps. Some of them had white hoes, he whispered. I ain't gonna lie, I dig them $2 white chicks. Shorty said, there's a lot of that action around here nights. You'll see it. I said, I already had seen some. You ever had one, he asked. My embarrassment at my inexperience showed. Hell, man, he said, don't be ashamed. I had a few before I left Lansing. Them Polak chicks that used to come over the bridge. Here, they're mostly Italians and Irish. But it don't matter what kind. There's something else. Ain't no different nowhere. There's nothing they love better than a black stud. Through the afternoon, Shorty introduced me to players and loungers. My homeboy, he'd say, he's looking for a slave if you hear anything. They all said they'd look out. At 7 o'clock, when the night ball racker came on, Shorty told me he had to hurry to his saxophone lesson. But before he left, he held out to me the $6 or $7 he had collected that day in nickel and dime tips. You got enough bread, homeboy? I was okay, I told him. I had $2. But Shorty made me take 3 more. Little fattening for your pocket, he said. Before we went out, he opened his saxophone case and showed me the horn. It was gleaming brass against the green velvet, an alto sax. He said, keep cool, homeboy, and come back tomorrow. Some of the cats will turn you up a slave. When I got home, Ella said there'd been a phone call from somebody named Shorty. He had left a message that over at the Roseland State Ballroom, the shoeshine boy was quitting that night, and Shorty had told him to hold the job for me. Well, all right. Malcolm, you haven't had any experience shining shoes, Ella said. Her expression and tone of voice told me she wasn't happy about my taking that job. I didn't particularly care because I was already speechless thinking about being somewhere close to the greatest bands in the world. I didn't even wait to eat any dinner. The ballroom was all lighted up when I got there. A man at the front door was letting in members of Benny Goodman's band. I told him I wanted to see the shoeshine boy. Freddie, you gonna be the new one? He asked. I said I thought I was, and he laughed. Well, maybe you'll hit the numbers and get a Cadillac too. He told me that I'd find Freddie upstairs. He told me I'd find Freddie upstairs in the men's room on the second floor. But downstairs, before I went up, I stepped over and snatched a glimpse inside the ballroom. I just couldn't believe the size of that waxed floor. At the far end, under the soft rose-colored lights, was the bandstand with the Benny Goodman musicians moving around, laughing and talking, arranging their horns and setting up their stands. A wiry, brown-skinned, conked fellow upstairs in the men's room greeted me. "You Shorty's homeboy?" I said I was, and he said he was Freddie. "Good old boy," he said. "He called me. He just heard I hit the big number. And he figured, right, I'd be quitting." I told Freddie what the man at the front door had said about a Cadillac. He laughed and said, "Burns them white cats up when you get yourself something." Yeah, I told him I was going to get me one just to bug him. Freddie then said for me to pay close attention, that he was going to be busy and for me to watch, but not get in the way. And he tried to get me ready to take over at the next dance a couple of nights later. As Freddie busied himself setting up the shoe shine stand, he told me, "Get here early. Your shoe shine rags and brushes by this foot stand. Your polish, bottles, paste, wax, suede, brushes over here. Everything in place. You get rushed, you never need to waste motion. While you shined shoes, I learned you also kept watch on customers inside leaving the urinals. You darted over and offered a small white hand towel. A lot of cats who ain't planning to wash your hands, sometimes you can run up with a towel and shame them. Your towels are really your best hustle in here. Cost you a penny a piece to launder. You always get at least a nickel tip. The shoe shine customers and any from the inside restroom who took a towel, you whisk broomed a couple of licks, a nickel or a dime tip. You just give 'em that," Freddie said. "But for 2 bits, Uncle Tom a little. White cats especially like that. I've had him to come back 2-3 times a dance." From down below, the sound of the music had begun, floating up. I guess I stood transfixed. "You never seen a big dance?" asked Freddie. "Run on a while and watch." There were a few couples already dancing under the rose-colored lights. But even more exciting to me was the crowd thronging in. The most glamorous looking white women I'd ever seen. Young ones, old ones, white cats buying tickets at the window, sticking big wads of green bills back into their pockets, checking the women's coats and taking their arms and squiring them inside. Freddie had some early customers when I got back upstairs. Between the shoe shine stand and thrusting towels to me, just as they approached the wash basin, Freddie seemed to be doing 4 things at once. "Here, you can take over the whisk broom," he said. "Just 2 or 3 licks, but let 'em feel it." When things slowed a little, he said, "You ain't seen nothing tonight. You wait until you see a spooks dance. Man, our own people carry on, they carry on." Whenever he had a moment, he kept schooling me. "Shoelaces, this drawer over here. You just starting out. I'm gonna make these to you as a present. Buy them for a nickel a pair. Tell cats they need laces if they do, and charge 2 bits." Every Benny Goodman record I've ever heard in my life, it seemed, was filtering faintly into where we were. During another customer lull, Freddie let me slip back outside again to listen. Peggy Lee was at the mic singing. Beautiful. She had just joined the band, and she was from North Dakota and had been singing with a group in Chicago when Mrs. Benny Goodman discovered her. We had heard some customers say she finished the song and the crowd burst into applause. She was a big hit. Peggy Lee. Ain't that who they said? I think that's who he said. Peggy Lee. Yep, Peggy Lee, all right. All right. So now the story really starts to heat up, because now Malcolm's gone from the country to the city. He's hit the big time. He's in Boston, Massachusetts. Boston, MA. That's right. And he's having a really good day. He's all up in it like Bennett at the shoe shine stand, all up in the restroom, handing out towels and Tom in a little bit. here and there, doing his thing. He got his slave and he's ready to get it on. But I like y'all to just think as we're reading what Malcolm has to say. Think about Francis Cress Welsing. If y'all know Francis Cress Welsing, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know Francis Cress Welsing, get familiar with it. She came up with the Cress theory of color confrontation and racism. And she breaks down all these terms that you hear you hear Malcolm throwing around, but they're coming from Shorty and from this shoeshine boy, talking about Tommen and, get you a slave and so on and so forth. All these terms have meanings. They're not just meaningless phrases that we just throw around because they're all about power relationships. And what is your relationship to somebody else? What kind of power relationship do you have with this other person? So when you say you're getting a slave, there's somebody that's a master, and obviously that ain't you. That's somebody else. So every time you say that, you done already gave your power away to somebody else. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. Frederick Douglass. All right. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and drop it like it's hot. We'll be black tonight at 9. As always, this is Doc Ock at noon and 9 signing off. But before I go, let me just give you a couple little reminders. Number one, don't forget tonight what we're doing. Of course, I took that book upstairs too. Okay, we're coming out of our book. What's the name of that book? The Black Panther Party graphic novel. We're coming out of that book, and we're going through it, going ahead and reading as much of it as we can. So make sure to be here for that. Also, we still need your support. So please go ahead and there we go. Please go ahead and give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching on the tube. And then after you've already gone and told all your friends and your family, take that last step and go ahead and make a recurring donation. Become a sustaining member. You can do it at our website, blakfacts.org. You can do it on our Facebook page. Go to our profile picture and click it. You see all the little coins up under my picture. Just click that and it'll take you right to a donation link where you can make a recurring donation. $5 a month would be great. Or you can go to, if you're on your telephone, you can go to your notifications also. And you'll find donation links on your notifications drop-down list also. So, number of different places you can go to make your donation. Become a sustaining member of the Black Facts family. That's how we keep this going. If you want to see us continue to read these stories, because we got plenty more stories to read. We ain't even got to Bad Blood over here, all about the scientific experiments they've been running on black folks for years that we've been a part of, but rarely have known that we were a part of. Okay, we don't even have our other book down here on what's her name? Henrietta Lacks. Y'all may have heard about Henrietta Lacks. We don't have that one down here either. But if you want us to continue, make that recurring donation. Do it right now without delay before you forget or move on to something else. In the meanwhile, we're just going to say peace out without a doubt. Look for us to be black here at 9 tonight. We will see you then with the grin. Peace out.